I'm Hannah Octavia, a 20-something who decided to start a podcast to answer a few big questions. How do people actually figure out their careers, their goals, and their lives? For years, I envied people who seemed to have it all: success, stability, prestige, and I wanted to know how they got there. So, one day, I asked. This podcast is about stories worth sharing, the wins, the setbacks, and everything in between. My hope is that by the end of each episode, you feel inspired, motivated, and reminded that everyone's story is different, and that's what makes it beautiful. Hello everyone, welcome back to Seasoned Professional. It is 2026, which is absolutely wild to say. We are back with our very first interview of the new year, so please keep in mind it's been probably a month since I've done one of these. I'm hoping it feels like riding a bike and I just get right back into it. But thankfully, I'm with a beautiful, beautiful guest who is going to be nothing but kind to me and gracious. So with all that being said, welcome to the podcast, Erinn Weatherbie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and to hang out with you this morning.
Fabulous. So for my people that are local to the GTA, or honestly, like, it could be worldwide, depending on what kind of content you consume. That would be the word. Then you might already know who Erinn is, but she is one of the lovely co-founders behind the Kelly's Bake Shop brand, company, worldwide phenomenon, if you will. I believe you were ranked the third best cupcake by BuzzFeed back in the day, which is what that just seems like for like because obviously you started off as a small business, and to reach that level of success is a bit like, whoa.
Absolutely. It was such a surreal moment when we received, it was actually, I think we got like an email from one of our customers saying, hey, did you guys see that you were ranked the third best sweet shop to visit in the world before you die? And we were like, no, like that has to be an error. There's no way that would happen. And lo and behold, click the link and someone had ranked us and voted for us and whatever. And yes, so it is true.
That is just like, goodness. Well, congratulations. And with that being said, I guess I've given the listeners a little bit of details. Obviously, you are one of the owners of Kelly's Bake Shop, but tell me who you are today, kind of how you see yourself in terms of a business owner and how you kind of contribute back to the community.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm Erinn, and one of the co-founders of Kelly's Bake Shop with my mom, Kelly, and we started Kelly's way back in 2012 and have had incredible success and obviously faced incredible adversity too, as so many entrepreneurs do throughout their journey. And it's been honestly an incredible ride. I feel like I'm such a different person from when we started way back in 2011, 2012 to where we are today. And, just like the resilience and the leadership and just the ability to handle stress and to handle, when things don't always go your way, and being able to navigate that and to move through those times has really, in the moment, it can feel really, really stressful and really, uncertain. But when you get through it and get through to the other side, you can just prove to yourself really what you're capable of. And that's what I really love about entrepreneurship and being in business for ourselves, and not really having to report into anyone, and actually carving your own path and moving forward has been really beautiful thing for me as a human being, to actually just evolve myself. They often say that, when you're in business for yourself or an entrepreneur, it's like the greatest way to have the most incredible self-development. And I completely agree with that, because I have learned so much about myself in the last 13, 14, 15 years of doing this. So, yeah.
As I'm sure some people would understand, I'm trying to make this podcast into somewhat of a small business. So I'm just so curious and excited for this conversation, because I do feel like I can learn so much from you. And doing my little bit of research, I really am inspired by the way that you and your mom both kind of look at the world. You have a very positive outlook. And I kind of always tell myself, like, if I continue down this path, if I put in my best effort, if I remain positive and really go out and search for what I'm after, then
something is bound to happen. And that's what I believe. It's like, if you provide the universe with positivity and consistency, then surely something good must happen. Like, what do you feel about that?
I am 100% aligned with that for sure. Like, to me, whatever you are putting out there into the universe, to the ether, to God, whatever you want to call it, that is going to come back to you tenfold. 100%. I completely agree with that. I'll share a story. So we, back in May of 2025, we received the news that we actually had to leave our beautiful flagship location in downtown Burlington due to condo development. And it was a very sudden notice. We were given 60 days notice for it. It was obviously a very traumatic, very stressful experience for us. And I'm giving you very much the Coles Notes version. We can go into it a little bit more in a bit, but it was a very overwhelming, stressful, traumatic experience. But instead of looking at it like that, we kind of took a step back and we said, okay, we're trusting right now, and we're having so much faith that what's on the other side of this is so much bigger and better than we could have ever dreamt possible. And by having that mindset and by really framing things in such a positive, uplifting way, and not getting into like the negative and being like, oh my gosh, this sucks, we're the victim, poor us, and really like kind of getting down on ourselves and getting down on the situation, by having a really positive outlook on it and trusting and having faith, we were able to secure just so many incredible opportunities after that, which we can go into as well. But just so many incredible things presented themselves to us in such a beautiful way that we could have never imagined possible had we have been like, oh, poor us, this is such a shitty situation, like I can't believe this is happening, woe is me kind of energy. So to me, 100%, whatever you are putting out there into the field, you're going to get back a millionfold for sure.
Do you ever find it hard to maintain that positivity?
100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's so many moments where, you know what, I think that in business, one of the things that I've really learned is, you know, you can get stressed out about a multitude of things, from, you know, staffing issues, whatever, customer issues, bigger picture sort of stuff, whatever the case may be. But to me, it's like, okay, you can get stressed out, you can get frustrated, you can get perceived negative about these kinds of things. But to me, it's like your ability to get back to baseline as quickly as possible. That's something that I've really learned, because over the last 15 years, you know, when I was 20, when we started our business, to now being 35, when I was 20 years old, I would have gotten so stressed out, so frustrated, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that they're doing this, or I can't believe that they're so upset, or whatever. Whereas now it's like, okay, I can get upset for like 30 seconds, and then I come back to baseline and I'm like, okay, cool. Is this really going to affect me? Is this really going to impact me, you know, in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Like, why am I getting so worked up about this? Let's release it and get back to like where we need to be. And that's something, it's a conscious effort for sure every single day, because it can be easy to like spiral into crazy town, spiral into, you know, future tripping and all that kind of stuff. But I think just the growth of being a business owner and entrepreneur really teaches you to have that grit and that resilience to bring yourself back down to baseline and focus on what really matters at the end of the day.
I think I need to remember that, because, you know, I'm good at, I feel like I've really, over the past year, I've been able to look at the positive side more often, but then I get into this habit of feeling bad that I felt the bad way. So right. It's like chastising myself for having the feelings of like, oh, woe is me. And I can't like let go of that. So that's, I suppose that might be like the thing to think about for my personal development this year, is like the ability to, okay, you can have these feelings. It's totally fine. But once you've moved on from them, like those feelings don't define you. Like you're going to have a bad day. You're going to have a bad moment, but it's like letting go. It comes back to like the whole perfectionism thing, which is definitely a struggle of mine.
100%. And it's like having that awareness within yourself to be like looking at yourself like you're an outsider and being like, okay, like, why am I beating myself up over this? Okay, like I already experienced it. I already moved through this emotion. I'm already bringing myself back down to baseline. I'm already, trying to look at the positive side of this whole thing. I don't need to beat myself up over this thing. I've already learned that lesson. Let's just move forward, right?
Yeah. So this is the year of just releasing.
Letting go.
Exactly. But yeah, with all that being said, perhaps you can share with our listeners your lovely childhood photo and, a little bit of why you chose it, the background of it. Give us the details.
100%. So I printed it off. It's a little bit large, but here we go. Everyone can see it here. So it's a photo of my grandfather and myself. And I would have been, I'm guessing, probably 4 or 5 years old at the time of this photo. He actually passed away when I was 5 years old. So I only had him in my life. It's my mom's dad. So I only had him in my life till I was about 5, but he instilled such incredible energy within me. And we can chat about the photo. I don't know what you want to ask me specifically, but that's the photo.
Why did you choose it?
So I chose the photo because to me, looking at it, it just instilled such memories of joy, of simplicity, of just pure heart, like just this beautiful innocence as a child and just having fun in the wheelbarrow with my grandpa, helping him garden and in their couple acre property that they had in Toronto, and like just that pure innocence as a kid and with no, because I mean, as children, right? We don't have any of these societal expectations and all these layers and all this stuff on us. We can just be ourselves and we can just have fun and just have this unconditional, beautiful light for life. And to me, that photo, like I could just tell by the look on my face, like I am so happy, just so purely happy in that moment. And I think, as we get older, that just gets stripped away by all these expectations and things and oh my gosh. And so it made me feel really good looking at that photo.
That's beautiful. You described your childhood, or you described that photo as feeling, very happy, kind of carefree, a free child, if you were. Do you think those words describe your childhood in general?
Yes, I would say so for the most part, for sure. I mean, I'm an only child, so I didn't have any siblings or anything like that growing up. But for me, I had a very good childhood. I had a very loving family on both sides of my family, my mom's and my dad's. My parents divorced when I was very, very young, but I was fortunate enough to have like just a beautiful family dynamic on both sides, for sure. And I was taught to, I was taught more, I would say, let me think about this for a second. On both sides of my family, I actually do have some entrepreneurial family members, for sure. Not all of them, but I wasn't ever told you need to be a certain way in order to succeed in life. So I was given the mental freedom to kind of flow where I needed to flow and go in the direction that I felt was best for me at that time. Like I was given a lot of free reign in my life. And I think that really contributed to like who I am today. And for sure.
Oh, I'm just having like a million questions pop into my head. Just speaking, I'm like, I'm so excited. Anyways, and how old were you when your parents divorced?
I was about 1.5 years. So I really didn't know them together at all. Yeah. So I was very, very young.
And how was their relationship when you were growing up?
So it was fairly good. Like I would say, there was a little bit of stuff going on when I was like 12 or 13 years old, some, personal stuff going on there. But I would say for the most part, like 90% of the time, it was a good dynamic. They were always like friendly with each other. There was never really any like animosity, like really any like negativity surrounding that. Especially in front of me specifically, like they could have had their own stuff going on. But whatever I saw was always fairly positive for the most part.
At the time, like when you were growing up, did you spend time with your mom and then time with your dad and kind of go back and forth?
Exactly.
And what would you say are like the main things that each parent instilled in you, do you think?
That's so interesting. Okay, so my dad is he's very grounded, very methodical, very I think those are two really good words to describe him. Like he's very just present, methodical, logical, like that kind of mind. And my mom is very much like visionary, creative, big energy, like that kind of energy. So I think I received very good parenting over the years through both of them, because I feel myself, I am a very grounded individual. I'm very methodical. I am very logical in some situations. And then in other situations, I'm like big dreamer, big thinker, creative. Oh my gosh, let's take over the world with Kelly's Bake Shop sort of energy. So like both of them instilled that within me. And it's interesting. I've actually never really like thought about that, of like what each of them really brought to the table, quote unquote, for me as their only child. That's cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know it's interesting to like reflect on it, especially once you've grown up, you're living on your own. It's like you have your own family now. It's like, what are these things that I see in my parents? And it's funny, like as you grow up, I'm not sure if you've had the same experience, but as a kid, like you're so self-absorbed, and like it's because you're a child, like it just is the way it is. And I've noticed like over the past 5 or so years, like I'm starting to know my parents a little bit more, and like they're starting to like trust me with the more like intimate details of their life. And I'm like, I don't think I ever knew you before this. Like truly, I have a whole new perspective. And of course, you know, hopefully one day I have my own children, and then it will just layer onto that, like, whoa, I did not know who you were. And now, like, it's so strange.
Yeah, like, 'cause it really is. Like, I've seen these things on Instagram where it's like, you know, you're looking at your mom thinking that she's like something else, but really she's just a girl growing up for the first time too. And it's like we have this perception that our parents like have it all together. They're like this certain way. They're always going to be our parents, but it's like no, they have their own lives. They had their own lives before they had us, and their own experiences and like all that stuff that shaped them into who they are today. And to actually like really think about that is like a really kind of crazy, wild thing, because as kids, you're like, oh, they're just my parents. That's the only reason why they're here.
Literally the only reason. That is the perfect way to say it. It's like your only purpose in life is to parent me. And it's like, oh God. Exactly. Kelly's is a vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, egg-free, nut-free establishment. So was that sort of dietary way like present when you were younger?
So it was always very like health minded. So I'm going to say that growing up, we always had the healthy household for sure, especially at my mom's house. Like when I would have friends come over, you know, they would open up our fridge, open up our cupboards and be like, what the heck is all of this food that your mom has in her fridge? Like my mom would make like a batch of pumpkin waffles with like gluten-free flour and hemp seeds and like all of these like adaptogens and things. And this is back in like the mid to late 90s when like this stuff wasn't a thing, right? Like,
no.
What the heck are hemp seeds? What's almond milk? What are all of these things? And for me, I just like grew up with it. I just grew up with like a very health-minded sort of approach to life. And my mom was always, and she still is to this day, always researching like the latest and greatest things on how you can nourish your body and how you can sustain yourself and how you can, you know, kind of reverse the aging process in a natural way as well and just really fuel your body to the best of our ability. So yeah, it kind of stemmed from that with our businesses, because we actually we started a restaurant first before the bakery was actually born. So we started Kind Food way back in 2010. And Kind Food was this healthy, plant-based juice bar, like just grocery store, cafe, bakery. Like we kind of did everything under the sun. And that was in relation to our experiences traveling, going to California, looking at all these just really healthy, nutrient-dense, wholesome, beautiful places to eat in California. And we wanted to bring that back to Burlington, Ontario with us. And so, yeah, we found a location there in downtown Burlington, opened up Kind Food. And Kind Food became this place where we had a lineup of customers out the door, and we were like, okay, we didn't know that this was going to happen. And from there, it was really interesting to see the evolution of the products that we were actually selling there. So the grocery department kind of started weaning itself away. People weren't quite as interested in that, but the cafe and the bakery department were just exploding. So on like any given day, we would have, hundreds of people calling us, placing orders, all that stuff for all of our desserts. And we actually started out Kind Food as it wasn't a gluten-free bakery at that point. We had spelt flour that we used, which was, it's more easily digestible and that sort of thing. But it was interesting. We started getting so many people coming in and saying, oh, my son can't have gluten, or, I can't have dairy, or I can't have peanuts. Do you have anything without these specific allergens? And that was where a light bulb really went off for us. And we were like, wait, there is a massive demand for this. And so many people just couldn't eat delicious treats with, and for us, that was always our biggest motto, was allowing people to celebrate together and not exclude anyone. And so many people were being excluded by, having a peanut allergy, having a dairy allergy, having a food sensitivity, whatever the case would be. So for us, we wanted to create something that would be inclusive for everyone. And now we really try to focus on the allergy friendly nature of our business. And so from Kind Food, the demand freaking exploded, and we opened up Kelly's Bake Shop in December of 2012.
Wow. Crazy story. Exactly. And I'm curious in terms of, because obviously now being an adult and reflecting on your childhood, you described the way that you ate as healthy. Was it as a child, can you remember if it was healthy eating or was it just eating to you?
It was,
do you know what I mean?
It was just eating to me, 100%. Yeah. Because I remember going to some of my friends' houses and looking in their fridges or their pantry or whatever and being like, is this what you guys eat? Is this food? Because this looks like just a lot of processed Pop-Tarts and cereals and Wonder Bread. I'm like, I don't have this in my house. I just eat food. I eat real food, right? So 100%, to me, it was never healthy food. It was just, this is just the way you eat. This is just the way you eat to nourish your body and to heal yourself and to optimally live every day.
It's funny that you say that because my mom, I wouldn't say she was quite so much the hemp seeds and everything, but she was always putting the healthier ingredients. Of course, I didn't see it as that as at the time, but it's I vividly remember her always cooking with tofu, which I actually I love tofu. But of course, back in the early 2000s, perhaps not as a common thing. And then the other thing was she would have canned soup, but then she'd always add kale and chickpeas into it. And as a kid, I was like, oh my God, can't we just have the normal soup? And she's like, nope, we gotta bulk it up a bit with some sustenance. And honestly, I'm so thankful she did that now because that is me to a T. It's that's how I eat now. So I'm glad that that's kind of imprinted on me in that way. And it's so funny. I'll be talking to my friends and it's oh yeah, no, I've never gone to that fast food restaurant. Nope, never had that item. Never had this, never had that. And it's not even to point out that one way of eating is better than the other. It's just kind of to see the variety and how people grew up is so interesting.
100%. And to us, we've never been preachy in terms of you need to eat this certain way. It's just no, just eat however, your body wants you to eat. And if you feel good eating this way, great. If you feel good eating this way, great. But we're here to give you like all the options and all the resources so that, you know, if you do have dietary restrictions or dietary choices or allergies, whatever, great. You come to us and you don't have to think about anything when you come to Kelly's Bake Shop, because everything is inclusive of all of those allergies and food sensitivities. And I think people can get so like specific and so like rigid with what they're into that it can become almost like militant, right? Where you're like, you know, I have to eat this certain way all the time. And if I don't, you know, falling off the wagon and like all that kind of stuff. Whereas like, if you just flow and if you just like listen to your body and listen to what your body actually needs in this present moment, I think that's a really beautiful, very compassionate way to approach your own body. Because at the end of the day, nobody else knows what should fuel you. You're the one that knows that through your own intuition and all that. So yeah.
Definitely. And, you know, I think specifically for myself, like the conversation around food can be quite a trigger for me. And just like the idea that these are good foods, these are bad foods, and it kind of having this, you know, I think society puts a lot of pressure on us to kind of feel that way. And it's been many years of me having this perception, and I would say it's gotten better, but I don't think that voice inside my head has gone away of like, well, no, you shouldn't be consuming this. And it's like, well, food is about nourishing yourselves, but it's also about having that connection with people. You know, it's about allowing yourself to, you know, choose the things that'll nourish you, but then also around like celebrations, for example. It's like you shouldn't feel guilt for indulging sometimes. And it's like having that balance while quieting down the noise of the rest of the world is a task in itself. Would you say that you've ever struggled with any of that in terms of like your body or the perception of what you eat?
I don't really, honestly, I don't really think I have. I feel like I've always had a fairly good head on my shoulders to just be like, you know, intuitively, I know what my body needs to sustain me. I know what my body needs to thrive. Of course, like there can be some of that noise, but I wouldn't say it's been like a lot for me. I think it's interesting being in like the food business and being in a business that is it's so niche. It's so specific to so many people that to me, I really lean into like the way that we're helping so many people and connecting with so many people and allowing people to connect with, you know, food. To me, like that's where I really like try to lean into, because to me that has been such a powerful tool and such a powerful impact that we have had at Kelly's Bake Shop, is allowing all these people, all of our customers, to celebrate together. And now when people, you know, bring like the hot pink Kelly's box into their family events, their friends events, all that stuff, it's like, oh no, you have like the cool box now. It's not just, oh, you have some like gluten-free cupcakes that are going to taste like cardboard. It's like, no, you have like the box that everybody wants to be a part of. And so instead of people coming in and, you know, getting a couple of cupcakes to bring to their party or whatever for the people that are gluten-free, it's like, no, they're buying treats for the entire party, because they know that the ingredients that we use are incredible. They know that, you know, what the service that we provide is so needed for so many people. And it's just, that's where I've really, and it's interesting because again, I haven't really thought about that of like how I've been impacted by food, but I feel like I've really lent into the fact of what we do and how we can really impact the world and how we can really impact our customers. And that has really, it's really just stuck with me in like a really beautiful, positive way, for sure.
Yes. And it's, I want my listeners to like really just for a moment, and then we'll go back to your childhood really quick and then we'll continue on. But like, I think some people might think of this and listen to this and be like, oh, it's just cupcakes. But for my listeners, I really want you focusing specifically on the allergen piece. Like, imagine being, you know, allergic to peanuts, allergic to dairy, allergic to eggs, whatever it might be, to the point of anaphylaxis. And you always have this concern, like my best friend has severe allergies. I always have this concern for her. And there's been times when she has had a reaction or a restaurant has given her stuff with nuts on it. And I'm like, how can you be so insensitive to this person's needs? Like, do you understand the severity of the situation and what would happen if she consumed that? And it really fires me up because I'm just like, how can people be so just flippant? You know, like there's rules in schools now because people lost their lives over allergies. And it's like, yes, you can say, oh, it's just cupcakes. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm thankful enough not to have food allergies. But if I put myself in her shoes, it's like the fear that she would experience every single time she consumes something without the knowledge that it's 100% safe. It just feels like, specifically for parents who have young children, it's like you're giving them this opportunity to feel normal and to feel like, hey, I can actually share this cupcake with my friend. Normally I have to say no, but it's like, oh, I can be a part of this regardless of the things that I'm allergic to, regardless of the way I need to eat. And it's like, it's so much more than just a cupcake. You know what I mean?
100%. And like, I will echo that and just say that it's unbelievable the number of customers, the number of little kids, adults, older people, whatever, that come in with literal tears in their eyes. And they come into the bake shop and they're like, do you have anything that's peanut free? And we're like, everything in the whole shop is peanut free. And like their eyes well up and they start to cry. Like it sounds crazy, you guys, for anyone out there that doesn't have any allergies. But so many people have been so restricted or they've been so negatively impacted, like your friend when she goes out to go and eat and there's nuts on top of her salad or whatever. And you're like, are you kidding me? Like, do you want to kill someone right now? So that pure ease and that incredible feeling to know that when you come into our business, like you are safe. We have customers that come in and they bring our treats. So a couple of our customers specifically that I'm thinking about, their children actually have to go to the allergy ward at Sick Kids Hospital because their allergies are so severe. So I think they go in there for like regular testing and like all that kind of stuff. And they oftentimes will come into the bake shop before they drive into Toronto to go to this ward, and they're like, we're just so grateful for you. Like our family wouldn't have the joy in our life without Kelly's Bake Shop. And it's like, whoa, like to have that kind of impact on people's lives is unbelievable. And like for us internally, we take it so seriously too, even with our staff bringing in like lunches and their own food. No, like no one can have any wheat, no nuts, no peanuts. Like we don't allow anything at all on the premise because we know how serious these airborne allergens can really, really be. And for us, like, yeah, we take it so seriously. And at the same time, it's so rewarding when you get that smile and those tears in people's eyes to be like, oh my gosh, are you serious? I can have anything that I want to in this place. And it's like, yeah, we got you here. Like, don't even worry about it. You can enjoy anything that you want to, and you don't have to worry about, having an allergic reaction or whatever the case might be. So it's a real honor, to be quite honest with you, to do what we do and to have that kind of an impact and to solve that kind of a problem for so many people, right? Like, especially parents with their kids.
I suppose before we continue on, because I think I'll do one more question about your childhood and then we'll head forward to your time at Mac. But I suppose, what were you like in terms of socially and then in respects to like school? What was kind of those two persons or two people, I suppose?
Yeah. So, I mean, for myself, being an only child, I was always very, very independent. I would say very grounded. I had friends, but I wasn't outwardly like, needing to have 1,000,001 friends in my life all the time. I had like a handful of friends for sure growing up. But for me, I always really loved my own space. Like I craved that as a kid growing up, from the time I was, 7, 8, 9 years old to all the way through high school and stuff too. Like I really enjoyed that grounding time within myself, and I craved that for sure. And then for me in school growing up through elementary and high school and stuff, I, always, again, like had friends, was social, all that stuff. My husband and I actually met when we were in grade 10. So we've been together for 20 years now, which is wild. So we had so much fun in high school. High school was great in terms of like academically. I always did well in school. Like I could always memorize things and do well and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was always just this like burning kind of like desire within me when I was in school. And I always kind of felt like, is this really it? Like, is this really what like you're meant to do in life, is to like go to school, get a job, and then just like kind of coast through life? Like, is this really what it is? And I saw so many people just like thriving in it. And for me, I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there has to be more. So, yeah, if that answers your question, I hope it does.
20 years with your husband. Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
Crazy, right?
Like, it's so funny when I met my partner, who I've been with for 8 years now, when I was, oh gosh, maybe 19? How old am I? What's the math there? Yeah, 19, yeah. And it's funny, like, at the time I was like, oh, I'm so old. And now looking back, I'm like, you were literally a child. Like, do you know how much we've changed over the past 8 years? It's actually insane. But do you remember your first impression of Michael, your husband?
I do. So Michael was always very, very sports oriented. So he was like football team, rugby team, more of like jock sort of like energy for sure. And we became friends a little bit before kind of dating, before he asked me to be his girlfriend when we were 15 years old. So cute. But no, I just remember like just liking his energy. Like I just felt like I could be myself, and I felt like I could just talk to him. Like, it was just this natural comfort that I think we both felt with each other. I remember it was one of our first dates when we were 15, and we went to like the local Tim Hortons that was like around the corner from our high school, and we sat there and drank hot chocolate for like 4 hours and just talked, because this was before the days of cell phones and like smartphones and all that kind of stuff. And we just sat there and talked as two 15-year-old kids about God knows what. I have no idea what the heck we talked about, but there was just this natural comfort that we both had with each other, which I think was really beautiful and kind of started allowing our relationship to evolve from there.
Absolutely wild.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
But I suppose, what was your like hope for the future? Did you have any specific career aspirations? Did you know what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I was always like, I always really loved animals. I was always like, when I was younger, I was like, I'm going to be a vet. I'm going to go to med school and go and be a vet and serve animals and help animals and all that kind of stuff. But as I grew up, I kind of felt more and more like removed from the like normal, go to school, get a job, and like just retire and get a pension and all that kind of stuff. Like it was more like fingernails on a chalkboard for me, that I knew that there was something out there, because even, when I was in university and all that kind of stuff, we had started Kind Food at that point. I was in second year university. And for me, I would like, and it sounds crazy for someone who's like 19, 20 years old, but I would so much rather wake up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and go to Kind Food, go and bake stuff, go and serve a million customers, than staying up until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, getting wasted, going out clubbing and going out partying. Like that was always my mindset, where I was like, why? Like, why do I want to do that and go out and go and party and go and do that and then feel like crap the next day, and then not. There was always this desire for me to like to serve and to like do more and to be more. And I'm still that way now, where I'm like, okay, like after we're done this podcast, I'm like, I have so many wonderful things that I'm working on in terms of just like strategy of like where we're going, how we're building, how we're growing, all that kind of stuff. And to me, that just like excites me. So there wasn't like one specific thing that I was totally aligned with. I just knew that the status quo wasn't going to be where I wanted to be in my life and where I was going to be in my life.
So why did you decide to go to university? Because from what I understand, your mom didn't go to university. So
she didn't know. It's crazy,
why?
right?
It is crazy now. Well, I don't know. I suppose like there's many different ways to find success in the world. University doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way, or that going to university is going to equate success. So, that's a whole other conversation. But why did you feel like you had to go if you weren't really keen on it?
Totally. So it was something like I felt like I needed to do something because I wasn't sure of like any path in that moment in time. So I went to McMaster, which was about an hour away from where I was living with my mom and my stepdad at the time, out there in like the Markham, Toronto sort of area. And I went out there, went to school, and it was funny, within like the first month or two of me going out there to school, my mom, she missed me way too much. And she was like, you know what, guys, we're actually going to move from Toronto and we're going to move to Burlington because I can't handle not being away from Erinn for this long. So she definitely got homesick without me. It was funny. Yeah. But that was like, so the reason why, honestly, it's actually crazy when you look back at kind of the trajectory of my life and how my decisions impacted our whole family's life and the business that we have today. It actually stemmed from me going to McMaster, because without me going to McMaster, my mom never would have moved to Burlington. We never would have opened up Kind Food in downtown Burlington, and we never would have opened up Kelly's Bake Shop in downtown Burlington and created what we created today. So to me, there was almost like I needed to go to Mac to like bring her out to that area. But for me, going to school specifically, like I was good at it. I could do things. I thought maybe, if I went to school, I would have some sort of like aha moment and like something would click there for me to be like, okay, what can I stem off of? Like, what can I spur off of here in university? But that never really happened. And I'm cool with that, because obviously the success that we've had and the impact that I've had in my life through the businesses that we've created has been, to me, a billion times more powerful than me, being in school and stuff like that. But yeah, like it's actually interesting when you look back at how all these things had to happen for me to go to school, and then everything kind of came to Burlington. And that's why we opened up our businesses in Burlington. So none of that stuff would have happened, you guys, if I didn't go to McMaster University and go and spend 3 or 4 years there doing my thing.
That's too funny. Yeah, it's funny how you can kind of like connect everything now, and it's like, even though I had to slog away as a Mac student, it was the right choice, clearly. And obviously you opened Kind Foods. Was it 2010 that you opened, or was it a little bit 2010? Wonderful. So you opened Kind Foods, this kind of like cafe, grocery shop, juice bar, all the things under one roof. Yep. And tell me how that started. Was it like, whose idea was it? What was kind of the process, and how did you initially get involved in that?
100%. So the process was a combination of many things. So it kind of, I would say, inspired by a lot of traveling to California, to the west coast of the States, getting inspired by that energy of health, of wellness, of sunshine, of palm trees, of just this beautiful vitality that's just there in Southern California. So when we came back to Burlington after, going back and forth there a bunch of times, doing some traveling, some family vacations, all that kind of stuff, we came back, we're like, but wait, there's like nowhere for us to eat and to feel like good in Burlington. So I guess we just kind of have to like make our own place. And backtracking just a little bit. So my now ex-stepdad, so my mom's ex-husband, he was in the hospitality industry for quite some time. So we had experienced a lot of that. Like I had worked at his restaurants. Michael had actually worked at his restaurants, and we had gotten a lot of just experience in the restaurant hospitality industry. So for us, opening up a, juice bar, cafe, bakery, all that kind of stuff, hospitality oriented, wasn't that crazy for us to just kind of jump into that world, because we did have some experience behind us as I was growing up. So yeah, opened up Kind Food. My mom created the name Kind Food, kind to your body, kind to the animals, kind to the planet. I think she thought about it while she was sitting on a beach somewhere, to be honest with you. You're gonna have to ask her where exactly she figured out the name. But yeah, found the name for Kind Foods, secured the URL, the domain, and it was crazy how we actually found the location of where Kind Food was at the time. So there used to be like an old natural food sort of juice. It's like a natural food market that was at this one location in downtown Burlington. And my mom had actually called the owner there and said, hey, I forget the gentleman's name. Hey, do you have any limes or like lemons? She asked if he had something in stock. And he was like, actually, I'm going to be closing my business in a couple days. So like, I just have some like minimal stuff if you want to come over. And she hung up the phone and she was like, oh my God, that is going to be our location. Oh my God. Like, so I guess his business didn't make a go of it. We came in, we took over the lease, did all of our renovations, built out the business, created Kind Food to where it opened in 2010. And it was this like pink and green, very like hippie Southern California vibe with like a ton of beautiful grocery inventory. We had a beautiful juice bar menu, cafe menu with like incredible savory food that we created all the recipes for, all the baked goods, everything's made from scratch, beautiful, wholesome ingredients. And yeah, like I said, we got to the point where we would be so busy. I think we had like very short hours at the beginning, and we were open from like 11 to 5 or something like that. But during those like short window of hours, it was wild. We had 20 or 30 people in line in little sleepy downtown Burlington who wanted to come in for lunch, grab their treats, do all their stuff, get all their baked goods, whatever it was, because they just felt good. There was like this energy that we created at Kind Food at the time, and that energy really got infused into Kelly's Bake Shop and like that level of hospitality as well, because for us, the hospitality that we provide to our customers is equally as important as the quality of our baked goods. So for us, it's like, it's never just like a transactional, hi, what can I get for you? It's like welcoming customers into our home. Cause for us, like that's the kind of environment that we would want to get really welcomed into. And this is the whole other thing, but I feel like it's such a missed opportunity in Canada, the hospitality that is just lacking in so many places that you go into, and you're like you feel like sometimes you're bothering the people that work there, and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to like spend some money here. But anyway, so Kind Food was created just out of honestly pure necessity and wanting us to find a beautiful place to eat. And Kelly's Bake Shop was created out of necessity too. I mean, we never in a million years, my mom and I laugh about it still to this day. We're like, can you believe we actually opened up a bakery? Because it's not like growing up, we were there baking cupcakes together with our aprons on in the kitchen as I was growing up. No, like there was food in our life, but the thought of opening up our own bakery was never a thing. It just happened. When you just allow life to unfold the way it's meant to unfold, beautiful things can happen. And Kelly's Bake Shop opened in December of 2012 with a lineup of 30 or 40 people in line the entire day. And I remember looking at my mom at the end of the day and I was like, okay, cool. We had a successful grand opening, but do you think anybody's going to come back tomorrow and the next day and the next day? And lo and behold, they honestly did. That's kind of the whole story of Kind Food, Kelly's Bake Shop, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely wild. Yeah. And you said that, Kind Food was inspired by your trips down to Southern California and kind of having that easy breezy way of life. In my opinion, I feel like there's 3 ways that people could approach being inspired by something like that. It's do nothing. It's move to Southern California, or it's making a change in your own community. So why do you think, your mom chose, and of course I can ask her this question as well, but like, why do you think, like what kind of, I suppose, personality is needed for someone to take an inspiration and put it into action rather than moving somewhere and trying to find that somewhere else, if you know what I mean?
Totally. I think the type of person, you have to be a little bit crazy to be quite honest with you. You have to be alone because the concept that we put out there in downtown Burlington was never done before. We had so many naysayers, so many people saying, oh my gosh, are you guys kidding me? You're opening up this little place in downtown Burlington. That's never going to work. Good luck with that. Like the number of people that just like were just looking down on us saying, gosh, like that's never going to work. So you need to be a little bit crazy for sure. But you have to also, I think, have the mindset that failing is not an option, that you have such conviction in your dream, in your vision, in that creative energy to be like, no, like failing just is not an option. And my mom has often said that to me as well, you know, because we've gone through it. We've gone through a lot in the last 15 years. And that mindset of just, no, failure is just, it's not an option. We're going to find a solution. We're going to find a way to get there. But to have that creative energy, like it was burning so strongly within my mom that it came out of me. It came out of Michael. It came out of my like ex-stepdad. It came out of all of us to be like, oh my gosh, like we have to do this. Like this is going to be so incredible. And again, I think like we said at the beginning of this podcast, when you're putting that kind of intention and that kind of beautiful, positive, like trusting energy and that like big energy out there, there's really no option. Like you can't fail. Like you really can't fail when you're putting that kind of love and intention and vision energy out there into the world, because I think you're going to be supported no matter what. But long story short, you got to be a little bit crazy.
And when you say failure, because I think failure is such a loaded word. It's a big word. You know, people have a lot of ideas of what failure means. And when you say failure wasn't an option, what do you mean? Like, what would have been considered failure to you had that happened?
I think failure, you know, you think about it in like the absolute worst case scenario in that, oh my gosh, the business is going to go under. We're going to go bankrupt. We're going to be sleeping on the streets. Oh my gosh, like worst case scenario failure, right? Because I feel like we can all go there to be like, you know, you're going to lose the shirt off your back. You're going to put your whole life savings into something. You're going to borrow a few $100,000 in order to do this build out. And oh my gosh, no one's going to show up. And you can go into that like crazy town. How realistic is that? Like, is it actually going to happen? Or is that just your ego and your brain, you know, your ego tries to keep you safe all the time. So it's like, is that just your brain trying to control your life and trying to keep you small and to keep you stuck in your comfort zone? Because to me, that's what that is. Because I mean, at the end of the day, our life here, like it's so short. None of us know when we're going to be, you know, moving on to the next transition of our life. And how can you not just go for it? How can you not just take that leap of faith and step into the unknown and be like, okay, I'm going to feel the fear, but I'm going to do it anyways. I'm just going to move through this scary feeling. And I have all these fears within myself saying, oh no, what if I fail? What if I'm homeless? What if I lose all my money? What if I lose my house? But at the end of the day, like life, I feel like we're here in this life. We've all been given these bodies to live through. That how can we make the most of it, and how can each of us evolve to the best of our abilities to become the best versions of ourselves? Because I mean, if life was just meant for us to just be here, go to school, get a job, and die, like really, is that really the point of it? Or should we like push ourselves to actually do something big and to really try to do something, you know, worth living and worth having in our life?
Yes. And it's you know, I'm like trying to put myself in like the shoes of the listeners, because I think a lot of the time, like, of course we've spoken about, you know, failure and success and, you know, going with your passion and stuff. And I think there was definitely a time in my life when I was, perhaps the word pessimistic would be appropriate. And it's kind of like, I feel like once you open yourselves up to people that think a different way is when you're able to see the world. Because there was definitely a time when I was, again, more pessimistic and more like, oh, like following your passions, like as much as I'd love to do that, it's like, well, how can I do that? And it's like, I think you need to actually surround yourself by people like that. And like you said, it's almost like having that like, you know, for lack of a better word, crazy outlook on life. It's like, I need to just think that there's no other possibility, because that negative self-talk and that negative kind of mindset is going to hold you back. Absolutely. And people can think that this is, you know, all woo-woo and all the things, but like, if you practice it and if you actually put yourself and surround yourself by people who think this way, it's like, no, it can actually make a huge change. And, you know, I'm always telling my dad, like, stop being so negative, because it's like and, you know, he has his own demons, and he wanted to provide different things in our lives, and he's done a fantastic job at that. But it's like, imagine if you had let yourself dream. And, you know, we're obviously speaking from a point of incredible privilege, being able to be in a position to dream and to, you know, make these things a reality. But I think, you know, we all have a certain extent, you know, control over what we think in our mind and how we speak to ourselves. And it's like surrounding yourself with positivity and people that are going to uplift you is like, that's what we need to do. That's what we have to do.
100%. And you know what? It's like, it's not to say that everything's roses and sunshine, because it has not been at all. And yeah, you can say, yeah, you know, be positive, failure's not an option, all that kind of stuff. But like some of these setbacks, like I don't see anything as a failure that we've been through, but some of the setbacks that my mom and I have had to endure as business owners, as mom and daughter, as all of this kind of stuff, most people honestly would just throw in the towel, and they would say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. Like getting the news that we had to close our flagship location in 60 days because they were going to be building condos, and we had, you know, 30 staff there. 10,000 customers a week would come through our doors there at 401 Brant Street. And it was the biggest gut punch that anyone could ever experience in their entire life. And really though, like having that gut punch and having that like trauma kind of come through and being like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? How are we going to sustain ourselves on our Oakville location, which is much smaller than what our flagship in Burlington was for over a decade? How are we going to make all this work? How are we going to help our team? How are we going to, you know, serve our customers still? How can we find another location in downtown Burlington? Like, it honestly, from a financial level, from a just an overall stress, a personal level, like our relationships, oh my gosh, like it's like dark night of the soul kind of stuff. Like it was, honestly, 2025 was one of the hardest years of my entire life. And at the same time, like I said earlier, it's like, okay, you can have really awful things happen to you and have that perception of them being so terrible. But what if you looked at it like, instead of it happening to you, it's happening for you? Okay, so like, what if we were meant to not have our flagship in Burlington anymore because we were meant for bigger and better things? What if that location was going to need a couple $100,000 in renovations and upgrades and all this kind of stuff that we didn't really want to have to put into that space because it was too small? Like we were really bursting at the seams at that place. So were we given this as the opportunity to say, okay, let's find something else that we can actually serve our community in a bigger and better way? And in that moment, it's very, very hard to think that way. But when you take a step back and you pause and you reflect on it, you're like, okay, I know in my heart now in January of 2026 versus, May of 2025, I can say to you without a doubt that it was 100% meant to happen, that we were meant to close that chapter at 401 Brant, because we then found the most incredible location that we're going to be opening, a new location of Kelly's Bake Shop in downtown Burlington in second quarter of 2026. And this location is going to be able to serve just so many more incredible people and a bigger community and all of that kind of stuff. So although it sucks in that moment, it's like looking at it how like, how can I look at this as not happening to me, but happening for me? And that has been like a massive shift in my mindset going through, oh my gosh, so many things that we've moved through. So yeah.
Yeah. It's really just like reminding yourself that failure is not a unmovable thing. Like, you can say so many things are failures, but equally you can say that they're just opportunities for growth. You know, like that happening to you at 401 Brant Street, it's like you could have labeled that as a failure.
Yeah.
100%. But it's like, let's remove that word almost from the vocabulary and just focus on the fact that like amazing things have happened. And that is the case. You know, you're now, if anyone's familiar with the downtown Burlington core, you've now taken over the old Brant Florist, which is a huge space, which is absolutely crazy. And I believe it's one of the last heritage buildings in Burlington.
It is.
So, you know, it's just connecting back to that like establishment, and it's nice to know because Brant Florist was there for, I believe, a very long time. So it's like it's like nice to see that, you know, you're going into a place where there was maintained success. It has like the good energy of being continual. And I guess with all that being said, I suppose my next question, which I know you've been asked quite a bit, and I'm sure you can guess what it is, but it's working with your mom. How has that been? Tell me.
It's the $1 million question, right? It's so funny how many people just want to know, like, tell me, like, what is it really, really like working with your mom? And you know what's funny is, I'm going to say, first of all, it's great. It's great. Honestly, my mom and I, we have a very good relationship. We have a very good dynamic. However, at the early stages of us starting business, working together, it was a challenge. Like, it was a very, very big challenge. We both have our own strengths in our own ways. She's very creative, very visionary, very like big energy, like big ideas, all that kind of stuff. And me, I take it more of like the logical, okay, how are we actually going to like implement this stuff? How are we actually going to execute this idea? How are we going to move forward? But at the beginning stages, because we were both so in the business every single day, we were working on top of each other. We were doing the same thing, and we were getting so frustrated with each other that like we couldn't even really work together at all. Like, it was really, really painful. But we did a ton of, you know, business coaching and therapy and like trying to work together and trying to figure out how can we, you know, stay in our own lanes, stay in our own areas of genius and actually move forward. And I think as the business has evolved, that's really happened quite naturally as well, which has been beautiful. And as I've gotten older and, you know, just developed myself too as a leader and, you know, business owner and that kind of stuff, because I mean, I was 20 years old when we started. Being 35 now, I just have a very different approach and very different look at life now. But her and I today have a very good relationship, a very good understanding. And she often says this too. She's like, I don't really look at Erinn like she's my daughter. And I don't really look at my mom sometimes like she's my mom, which I think is a good thing when you're in business. So you don't have that like added layer of that personal stuff on top of it. But I have incredible respect for my mom. She is such an inspiration to me in my life. And I just, honestly, her energy is something that is so beautiful and is so, just genuinely inspirational to me. And I think that mutual respect that we have for each other has been a huge key to our success. And the other thing too, with like working with family, is that there's this incredible loyalty that is like unspoken. Like, you don't have to worry about, you know, your business partner that's maybe just your friend or whatever calling you up one day and being like, I'm done, I'm out, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. You can buy me out of the business. Whereas when you're working with family, it's like, no, you guys will like go to battle for each other. You will go to war for each other, and you will be there through the crappiest times and through the absolute best times with each other. And I think that creates like this level of trust and this level of like, you know, you can't mess with a family business that way. You know what I mean? There's just this depth and this like grit behind it. Like, we know we have each other's backs no matter what. Like, no matter what happens, we got this and we're going to move through it together.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess to add on, because is your husband part of the business as well?
He is. Yeah. So Michael has been a part of Kind Food, Let Us Love, when we changed the name of Kind Food. That's a whole other story too. My gosh, maybe Kelly can share that. That's a whole other story. So change the name, all that stuff. Michael was a part of that. And then moving into Kelly's Bake Shop as well too. Michael has been a part of the entire journey, and present day, he is there. He's actually there today. He's there on the floor in more of a manager capacity. He's incredible hospitality. If anyone knows Michael, he is just like, he loves people. He loves our customers, and he is the one that really drives our like hospitality program forward at Kelly's Bake Shop and really upholds those standards. So yeah, I work with my mom and with my husband at the same time. So.
Do you think, because I think, you mentioned that you rarely see your mom as your mom, and it's more like a friend and a business partner. Yeah. Have you, because I noticed in some of, the things you've posted, you call her Kelly. Yeah. So has that always been the case? Is that because you're business partners, or what's the deal there?
What's funny is like I call her mom a lot more, which is when we're in personal settings. But when I'm in business settings, it kind of feels like uncomfortable to call her mom. Like, I'm like, no, you're Kelly right now. And that's not to say at all that we don't have, mother-daughter time outside of the business. Of course we do. However, that can be a big challenge because the business is so woven into our daily life that, of course, that is a lot of what we talk about is the business. But it is funny because so many people ask me, they're like, why do you call your mom Kelly? And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's just like, it's kind of weird to call her mom when we're in like a business setting or in an interview or, in a meeting or something like that. It's just, I feel like it's maybe a little bit more professional to be calling her Kelly instead of mom.
Yes. And I think it also just like, it ensures that like, in this space, we're business partners, we're equals. Right. You kind of like eradicate that mother-daughter relationship, which is, in some respects, it's kind of unequal. Totally. And then in a business partnership, the goal is for it to be equal. And 100%. That, I don't know, mentally it's like, it feels easier when you're not being like, Mom! Yeah. Exactly. Well, why didn't you do this? Like, I just feel like innately would become, or I at least would become like so complainy and whiny and be like, revert back to my childhood self. And that's just not okay. Yeah. In a business setting. Yeah. And because obviously, your business has had such extreme growth. Mm-hmm. Kelly's Bake Shop, as you said, was opened out of necessity. Mm-hmm. And, I suppose, have there been, like, if you think back over the time that it's been open, which is nearly 15 years now, is there certain points where you're like, okay, we saw a huge peak in terms of our business growth and then perhaps a decline? Like, where do you think that, if you can think back to those times?
For sure, yeah. I would say there were multiple times that we saw like, okay, like we're doing something right here. Like we're getting recognized in the right ways. I mean, there's actually honestly too many to count. And that's such a beautiful blessing to be able to say that. But I would say, first of all, getting the BuzzFeed ranking, that was huge. I'd say that was like our first inkling to be like, oh my goodness, like we're actually doing something really powerful here that people around the world are wanting to come and support. Like that is so cool. And what an incredible honor. So I think that was like 2015, maybe early 2016. I have to remember the actual day. Then we launched our first cookbook. So my mom and I have 2 cookbooks. Our first one, Made with Love, became a national bestseller in the first 18 days that we actually launched it. And this was back in 2016, which was unfreaking believable. We had so much fun. We went all out and had like the most epic book launch party. We invited like 200 people to it. We had a red carpet. We had our city bus that we've wrapped for like the last 10 years. We pay for like this really epic bus that drives around Burlington. So we had that there. We had it fully catered. It was just like a total vibe of a night. That was a really incredible moment for sure to be like, wow, like we just did that too. That was, it's separate from the Kelly's Bake Shop day in, day out sort of thing to actually write a cookbook, to have this incredible notoriety and like, oh my gosh, people actually like love the book that much. Like, again, what an incredible honor. And then the year of 2019, was our biggest year we ever had at Kelly's Bake Shop. We were breaking every single record from a financial level, customer level. Like, it was just unbelievable growth that we were having. And then early 2020, the month of January and February, we were like off the charts. It was like, oh my gosh, this is a bucking bronco. Like, how are we going to actually hold on this year? Because it was wild. Like, the amount of customers that were coming in, from like a revenue standpoint, it was like, whoa, this is going to be a huge year for us. This is unbelievable. And then March of 2020 happened. And it was like, honestly, I still, like, I say that and I still get chills, because I'm like, it instantly went from, oh my gosh, this is going to be the most epic year of our life, to, oh my gosh, we have to close our business. And nobody knew what the heck was going on in that moment in time. So we, on March 17th, closed our business for what we thought was going to be 2 weeks. And then it ended up being 6 weeks. We closed until May 1st. And it was like, it was such an out of body experience, like, looking back at it now, because I remember waking up the morning after we like closed the business, because there was just like so much uncertainty. It was like so chaotic and like, oh my gosh, do we close? Do we stay open? Like, do we just open for takeout? Like, what the heck do we do? And I remember waking up the next morning and being like, are we going to be okay? Like, are we actually going to like get through this? Because this seems like this is really, really intense right now on like a global level. So how do we move through this? And then like the year of 2020 was just like a wild year in general, with us reopening on May 1st and just doing solely like curbside pickup and delivery. And it was like, whoa, like our whole business overnight just shifted. And it was like such a crazy thing as a business owner when you're navigating, staff emotions and feelings, and customers are like, I want your products. And we're like, we wish we could give you something. And, from a financial level, you're like, hey, we still got to pay rent. We still got to pay all this stuff. Like, how are we going to like sustain this? This is a lot to actually move through. And yeah, like that to me, that was one of like, that was the biggest, like, oh my gosh, how are we going to actually get through that? And as we know, like so many food businesses and hospitality businesses just decided to just close their doors and say, screw this. Like, I don't even want to move through with all this kind of stuff, with the lockdowns and closing and opening and all that crazy stuff. So that was like the peak, was like February of 2020. Our business, like our sales, like I could just feel this energy going into 2020 was going to be so epic. And then the next month it was like the taps got turned off and it was like closed, like you are closed your business. So that was like the biggest shift for me, to be like, okay, like we have to figure this out and move forward.
Oh my God. Yeah. I can't even imagine how overwhelming it would have been to be a business owner at that time, and just like not having that consistent support. Because I think as, an entrepreneur, that's something that you're always scared of. It's like so much is out of your control. And, people of all walks of life, whether they were an entrepreneur or not, experience that during that time. And it's kind of like, oh my God. But anyway, that's enough chat about that. Back in 2019, there was some rumors of cancellation and, oh, they're canceled and, oh, this and, oh, that. And it's like, I never actually knew much about it at the time. I've since done my research. The first incident that happened when George Floyd was killed, and there was this, everyone is probably familiar with it. It was the black squares all over Instagram and, the Black Lives Matters movement, and this real uproar for the Black community. And yeah, I guess, could you speak to that?
I try to remove myself from it, to be quite honest with you, but I'll speak to it from my perspective.
What you're comfortable. Exactly. What you're comfortable with.
What happened? So this was back in like June of 2020, and the George Floyd incident had just happened, and we were like, oh my gosh, like this is awful. And there was like a lot of, talk about it online and all of that. And we said, okay, like what can we do? How can we actually like support the community? How can we actually show that we're wanting to be, in solidarity with this and trying to just support through this time, and just to, again, reiterate the fact that our business had just been closed for 6 weeks. So we were down like insane amounts of revenue, all this, it was wild. We had put up a post saying that we were going to donate $1,000 to this beautiful organization, the Loveland Foundation, which helps women of color find mental health support through whatever various channels. I think it was North America wide. I can't quite recall. So we put out this beautiful post from what we thought was like a lovely perspective. Anyway, so we put it out, and long story short, people started commenting and saying, "You're white privilege. How dare you do this? I can't believe that you're posting this, blah, blah, blah. You're then racist. You're this, you're that." And we were like, okay, what just happened here? Like, what literally just happened? Because we genuinely thought that it was coming from a place of love and a place of kindness and a place of just acceptance for everyone. And we genuinely thought that was the case. And I think like a day or two earlier, or a day or two later, maybe something like that, I can't remember the actual dates. I apologize. It feels like it was so long ago now. We had posted it and not done anything for like a couple days. And then we went back to start posting some of our other regular content, like all other bakeries had done. And then we went and started posting some of our regular content again. And people were like, "Oh my gosh, how dare you go and post this? How dare you do this? You're white privilege, you're white supremacist, you're this, you're that. Oh my gosh," like just literally exploded the whole thing. And we were just like, okay, like actually what just happened? Because we in our perception in that moment in time, we were like, we didn't think that there was anything wrong with that at all. And we thought we were being, in solidarity with the community and trying to do something kind in a very difficult, very like tense and uncomfortable, like gritty sort of time, right? Where no one really knew what the heck to do that was right or wrong. It was like everyone was just trying to figure out what they thought was best in that present moment. And from there, a small group, like a very, very small group of people with loud voices decided that they would approach our publisher, Penguin Random House, and say, Kelly and Erinn are displaying prejudice against Black people, and they need to have their cookbook pulled from publication. So long story short, Penguin Random House sided with this small group of people, even though we had so many people behind the scenes saying, "I can't believe that this is happening to you as a person of color. I can't believe this is happening to you." Anyways, Penguin Random House sided with them, and so pulled our publishing, pulled our book from the shelves without having a conversation with us, without actually, seeing the receipts of all of this kind of stuff. And people were accusing us of so much stuff. And like I said, it ended up being a very small group of people with loud voices that we actually ended up finding out were from some competitive businesses in like the Hamilton, Burlington area, which was very interesting to find out. But lo and behold, that is like such a Coles Notes version, and I'm probably leaving out things that I honestly can't even remember. I've blacked out of my memory, but it was a very difficult, one of the most difficult times for us. That there were moments, honestly, that I didn't want to wake up in the morning because of this just like psychoness online. And we were like, how did it get to this point? And we tried to apologize. We tried to do that kind of stuff, which was not what we needed to do, because people just got more upset. And we were like, hey, like we just need to just take a step back from all of this. It was just a very, very difficult time for us. And it caused me a tremendous amount of anxiety. Like I started suffering from unbelievable panic attacks, and to the point that I couldn't drive a car, to the point that I couldn't be really by myself. It was a very stressful thing that caused a lot of additional trauma and additional things that I've had to work through myself. My mom's had to work through some stuff as well. But it was really, really freaking difficult. So that's, I think I'm capturing the majority of it. But it was a really, really dark time for us, for sure, especially after having to close our business for 6 weeks. prior to that. And we were like, we don't even know what way is up right now. Our bank account is in the negative and we're trying to donate, $1,000 to this organization to show some love. And it just like backfired completely. So that was that exciting time for us. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you giving us the rundown of that. I think, I don't know the psychology or anything behind the cancellation culture, so I won't comment on that specifically, but I think it's scary to know that like a small business who is going about, their life and trying to put their best foot forward, it's scary to think that can happen.
It was interesting too was that like when all this stuff was happening, two things that I should add is that there were comments of being like, oh, then all of a sudden then we're homophobic and then we're transphobic and we're all of these things, and we're like, I'm sorry, we were actually, because it's very important to share this, we were the first business in downtown Burlington to ever fly the pride flag. Before the city of Burlington ever flew the pride flag, we flew it back in 2010. And we honestly have always loved, accepted everyone for who they are. We actually even had a staff member back in, I think it was 2018, 2019 timeline, who transitioned. And we, gave this individual 3-4 months off of work to go through the surgery, do their whole thing, come back to work, all that good stuff. So again, farthest thing from any of those things, any of these accusations that people just decide to put out in black and white on the internet. And it's like, you actually don't know us as human beings. And I think that that is the hardest thing for me, because I'm very sensitive to it. And I think that that's really what impacted me so greatly during that time, is I was like, but we're genuinely good people. We're here running a business, trying to serve the community, trying to be inclusive of everyone, doing all of our own thing. And it's to say that kind of stuff when you don't know us, you don't know what we've actually done behind the scenes, and you can just go and spray this stuff on the internet and then people believe it, is a really awful thing to do. And to me, there's karma attached to that, of course, but it's just it's just really, that was very hurtful to me. And that's something that I think really exacerbated that anxiety and that kind of panic that I had gone through for a couple of years following that, because it was just I felt like people were judging me when I would go out or when I was online and all that stuff. And I'm like, but you actually don't know who I am. You don't know my heart and what kind of a person I am. Not that you have to prove anything to anyone, but it's just, it's upsetting when people put that kind of stuff on the internet and then people believe it as well.
I can imagine, because of course, being an entrepreneur, you take your work home quite a bit with you. Being a business owner, that is just the reality of the situation. And it's the negative effects that it has on your business when someone is quote unquote canceled. But then you think about the impacts on your own personal health and your own personal, I would imagine that you would have started to, like you said, second guess everything that you do. Not really, you would lose your conviction in who you are almost. And it's so much more, I think because social media is such a thing, cancel culture was not a thing when social media was not a thing. It's because people are actively able to hide behind this thing and just spew these things that, in some scenarios they're founded in reality, but in others, and in more often the case, it's founded in this wild world that just is out to hate.
Yep.
And it's really quite an overwhelming thing that I'm sure can be a full other conversation in itself. But I suppose where my curiosity stems is how you recovered from that in a personal level. How were you able to, like you said, you were having panic attacks and extreme anxiety. How were you able to recover and kind of get back to a place of knowing what your purpose was in the business and as a human being?
Totally. It definitely took a long time. It took some time. It For me personally, my husband and I moved up north. We just said, you know what, we actually don't want to be in this energy anymore. So that was one catalyst. It wasn't the whole reason why we moved up north, but we said, you know what, we want to just get out of this energy. We want to get into like a more grounded place, get to a place where I can just like have like an exhale, essentially. So we moved up north in late 2021. Which was a big thing. For me, I started going to therapy. I did a lot of like online therapy during COVID, which helped me a lot. I'm also very much into like yoga and meditation and all of that beautiful practice as well. So for me, that was incredibly healing and obviously still is today. So that was very, very impactful. But it took a few years, like honestly, from 2020, I'd say until 2023, I would say, was very, very intense. Like it was 3 years. And again, a lot of that was just due to COVID and just like business stress in general too. But that added layer of cancel culture and that perceived judgment from the outside was a massive weight on my shoulders to just release and to just let go. So it was a solid 3 years of that. And from a business standpoint, what was challenging for me was we've always had such an incredible team at the bake shop. So I'm so blessed for that. All of our, past staff, present staff, like everyone's been great. That it was hard. It was hard to continue to be a leader in those early days of having that cancel culture happen, because it was very challenging to, like you said, it's like know who you are and know your convictions and know that what you're doing is right. Because in certain moments I was like, well, am I a bad person? Like, am I actually what these trolls on the internet are saying about me? Because you start going into this crazy town, which is what I said. Some mornings it was like, I'd rather just not wake up. And that was very challenging from an internal standpoint, was to actually put on my like Erinn from Kelly's Bake Shop sort of, I don't want to say persona, that's the wrong word, because I'm myself wherever I am, but my like leader sort of mentality going into the business and to really be present, that was really, really challenging. It probably took me a solid 6 to 12 months, to be honest, to get through that and to get to the other side and to have an incredible team around me who supported everything that we were like kind of been through. And they were like, whoa, like you guys, like what the heck just happened there? That was insane. So to have that reassurance internally, I think was a really helpful thing for sure for me, to know that we had a great team, had our backs, wanted to serve incredible customers, create beautiful products. And at the end of the day, we're a cupcake shop. We're a bake shop. Our whole purpose is to be here to make people happy. So it was like really just changing that mindset for myself and kind of getting myself out of my own head was very helpful in that, to put some things in perspective for me. But it wasn't easy. It was really, really, really hard. Honestly, I wouldn't wish it on anybody in the entire world. It was a really, really difficult time for both of us.
I honestly can't even imagine. And to know that you're in a good place now, you did survive. Mm-hmm. And how does it feel knowing that you survived all this adversity?
It feels pretty powerful, to be quite honest with you, to know what I'm capable of. Looking back on it now, it's like, wow, you can do anything. Honestly, you're way stronger than you actually give yourself credit for, and that you actually think you are, to move through really, really difficult things.
If you look back at who you were when this started to who you are now, what do you think has been the proudest transformation that you've seen in yourself?
Wow, that's a great question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Mic drop.
Yeah.
I think that for myself, because when we started Kind Food, I look back at old videos we recorded and old things, like whatever. We used to do like smoothie videos and like all that kind of fun stuff. And I think that for myself, I notice such a massive shift in confidence from the way that I speak, the way that I lead our team, the way that I can manage people, the way that I can see, the way that, I would say my overall confidence level from 2010 until today, 2026, has been a complete transformation. Like, I feel like a completely new person. And like I said earlier, it's like, being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself is the biggest lesson in self-development. It's the biggest way to have the most growth in your own abilities, in your own self-development, your own like perception of who you are and how you can grow as a human being. And I think for myself, really leaning into developing that sense of confidence and that sense of courage, to be honest, because when I was 20 years old, I don't think I could have ever, so if someone told me all the things that I would go through in the 15 years that we've had our business, I actually don't know if I would say, okay, let's just go for it. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at it and you're like, would you actually do all of that? But it's like every stepping stone led to the next, which led to the next. And it was like, okay, I'm a firm believer in the fact that you're never given anything that you can't handle and that you can't get through. So it's just, okay, look at this objectively, look at whether it's cancel culture, whether it's, getting your flagship store taken from you, whether it's COVID, any of those things. Okay, we can figure this out. I can figure this out. We have the tools, we have the resources, and we have the ability to do it. And then every step, everything that you get through is just this vote of confidence to be like, oh, I just did that. Oh my gosh. Business owners who haven't gone through like the dark night of the soul have a different approach to business. I feel like we've gone through multiple dark nights of the soul that you can look at things and you have this just different perspective and different mindset that, I look at all of these things that we've gone through and I look at it now as a story that we're going to tell one day, as opposed to these are all these awful things that happened to us. It's like, no, this is just part of my story. This is part of this like book of Erinn Weatherbie of all the things that I've moved through to get to where I am today in 2026, which I think is a cool reframe in your mind, as opposed to saying, oh, all this stuff happened to us, we're the victims, woe is me, is looking at it like, no, we get to tell this like epic freaking story that most people never would have even walked through themselves.
And I appreciate how you said, if you were given a book saying this is what the next 15 years would be like, it's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to take that. But I think it's something that I even have to remind myself in like my daily life. It's like, I'm 27 years old. Within the next few years, like I'm hoping to start a family. And I find myself like fearing it because I'm like, well, what am I going to do when they're one? Like, what am I going to do when they're two? But it's like, and people continue to remind me, it's like, you figure it out, because when they're 1 month old versus when they're 12 months old, you are a different person. It's like you have to experience those things first. As you're every day, like the hope is that we're continuing to develop as people and, have some sort of growth in who we are, because we don't want to stay stagnant in life. Like, that's so uninteresting and uninspiring. And who I was in high school is not who I want to be now. And not to say that version was bad, but it's like there were faults then, there's faults now, there's different things that are always happening. And it's like almost reminding yourself to not get ahead of yourself and not like run down the path before you've even like opened the door. And I like need to remind myself of that. So my very final question for today is, of course, you are expecting your very first baby, which is so exciting. And so the future, I'm sure you're thinking of, it's just this big, beautiful thing. What are you hoping in terms of like your personal future and in terms of the business? What are your hopes?
Yeah. Oh, I love that question. I feel like that's like such a loaded question right now. So I'm like about 5-ish or so months pregnant. So we are on a short-term level, short-term plan. I'm going to be giving birth in the month of May at some point, and we're hopefully going to be opening up our second location, which is going to be our new flagship location, in probably April. Fingers crossed. It better happen before the baby. Oh my gosh, Hannah, it's going to be a wild ride if this baby comes at the same time.
Oh my God.
It'd be literally insane. I'm like, please God, please help us through this. But it's, that's like very short term. But for me personally, stepping into motherhood is obviously a brand new thing for me. And I see us, you know, Michael and I having a couple of kids down the road for sure. But for me, from a business standpoint, I see Kelly's Bake Shop growing in the next 3 to 5 years in a much bigger way, because I feel like this new location that we're going to be opening up this spring is just going to give us the ability to expand in just such a bigger level than we could have. There's a ton of incredible big energy that is about ready to explode in terms of the business side of things. I see Kelly's Bake Shop growing. I see our impact getting exponentially bigger for sure. I feel like we're at that stage now where we've gone through a lot. We've been through the hell of times that now we're like, okay, we got to like move forward and get into this big growth energy for sure. But for myself personally as well, I'm just really looking forward to like what this new chapter is going to be like. There's so many uncertainties and so many things that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, we live up north, we live in nature, is just like spending some time learning who I am as a mom, because I've clearly never been a mom before. I'm a dog mom and a cat mom right now, but not a human mom. That I'm really just looking forward to starting the next chapter and just like what's it going to entail for me, and how is my life, how's my personal life going to weave into the business, and you know, am I going to be at the bake shop with a baby on my chest and walking around the shop there, that stuff, and
maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, no, I'm just really looking forward to this next chapter and just everything it's about to give me. So it's gonna be great.
Well, with that, I wish you just the most beautiful year. There's so much to look forward to. I cannot wait to, you know, see what happens with the baby, you know, what you're having, and just, it's such an exciting time for you and your family. So good luck with that. And in terms of the business, it'll be crazy to see the grand opening of that store. It is, I will be there. I will be there in line, experiencing, you know, all the positivity that, you know, Kelly's has to offer. And I'm just so thankful for our conversation today. So thank you so much for coming on. And for all of our listeners, please do like, share, subscribe, comment, let us know what you got from this interview. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.